A major pattern change coming our way for the second half of November into December. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justus. Thank you for tuning in. If you don't already, please consider subscribing to my page when it comes to early warnings of wild weather coming our way into the Christmas and Thanksgiving, the big holidays, and a reliable forecast you can count on and a direct approach you won't find anywhere else. Give me a follow right here. Let's look at the ensemble look at the deterministic look at the North Atlantic Oscillation. Basically, this tells me the way the jet stream is behaving. I've got an average of all of them here, the deterministic plus the other 51 different runs of the European. It shows a small dip, which means some rough weather for the East Coast, maybe some rain, cooler than average temperatures through the end of this week. Into next week, Saturday, Sunday, Monday's time frame, going into Thanksgiving week, looks like we get a little rise right in here. Small dip here again toward Thanksgiving. We got some rain we need to look out for next week. Then another rise. The last week of November looks to be quite warm here before we take a dip here. This could mean a pronounced cool down, but it looks like it's a short-lived cool down. 24th, 25th, somewhere there right after Thanksgiving before we significantly warm up across the East Coast going into the first few days of December. What does this look like on the map? Well, let me show you this. We've got to warm up this week, 60s for highs, 30s and 40s for lows, pretty normal weather. Whatever normal is for your town, you can count on it to be pretty close to that this week. Got a little bit of a dip in the jet stream going into Thursday, Friday's time frame. A little bit of wet weather on the way late this week for areas like Florida and Georgia. But going into Thanksgiving week, I am tracking the potential of a pretty significant dip in the jet stream here. Let me rewind it right here. This dip could mean some wet weather at some point. The European wants to say Tuesday, Wednesday. The GFS wants to put a Thanksgiving damper. You're carrying the turkey in and it's just pouring. That's what's possible here from our American GFS model. Need to watch out for that because that could play spoiler to our Thanksgiving forecast. What about going into December? Well, let's look at that. We've got higher rain chances late this week across the southeast. Then we get pretty dry for the weekend. And then going into next week's time frame, we've got above average rain chances at some point. This European model shows Tuesday. Some of the other ones are saying possibly later that week. All right, then as we go toward December, look at this. Looks like above average precipitation chances returning for the southeast. How does the National Weather Service folks see it? Well, let me show you this. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook. They give these outlooks out in chunks. So the 6 to 10 day outlook, above average temperatures across much of the East Coast. How about precipitation? It's got above average rain chances as well. That's good news. We need the rain. How about the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook? This is Thanksgiving week. It'd be above average for temperatures. This would mean likely 70s from the Carolinas to Georgia to Alabama to Florida. How about precipitation chances? It too looks to be above average in the rain chance department here from the Carolinas to Florida. How about weeks 3 through 4? Can you believe it? This would get us into the first week of December. Look for more warm weather. That's what I was just showing on that European model. Looks like very warm weather possible across the entire East Coast. And when you look at precipitation, looks to be above average too. So it's going to be wet and warm that first week of December from Florida to Georgia to the Carolinas. We need it. The latest outlook here from the National Weather Service is showing basically the drought is going to persist here across the Carolinas, and it's a severe extreme drought depending on where you're at. That stretches into Alabama. But look at where we go from the season. This is their outlook. So now you're looking at an outlook here. This green would show drought removal likely. So how do you go from a severe to extreme drought? You're behind some 6 to 7 inches of rain. How do you go from that to this being removed? The time period this is looking at is November 1st through January 31st. So you got to think we got 2.5 months to gain ground on this drought to where they're saying it's going to be gone by January 31st. Well, how you do that is by getting significant rain. 2, 3, 4 big systems of 2-inch rains or more. This drought will be gone across many areas, and we'll flip this pattern around, and I see that happening, especially going into an El Nino. So how about snow? Those of you want to go skiing. Well, Killington's open in Vermont. That's really about it right now. It's been a rough couple of ski seasons for North Carolina up through West Virginia, but it looks like we'll at least get some snow for the high mountains, possibly later this week, while it'll be a rain for the rest of us. And then going into late November, early December. Again, snow staying mainly north, but I do see us getting active. In fact, let's look closer at this week. High school football games entering the playoffs right now. Let's look specifically at that because I know many of you have a lot riding on this forecast. Looks like a pretty pronounced soaker heading toward parts of Florida and Georgia this week. You see it coming in. This should be Wednesday, Thursday's time frame. Doesn't quite make it into the Western Carolinas this week. But as we move forward here, look at that little spin off the Carolina coast. Possible that we get a tropical entity. There's two possible tropical entities this week being steered away by this front, so it shouldn't come inland, although we could use the rain. Looks like it may get close to the Outer Banks, whatever it is, with this front steering it away. You can clearly see it trying to ride up the East Coast. That could be a good rainmaker. Not cold enough to be much snow with it, but that could be a recipe for a lot of rain for some along the East Coast. You go up toward Maine towards Saturday, you bet, quite a bit of rain with a little bit of snow on the back edge. How about next week? This will be Thanksgiving week. Look at this. We're dry Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I will tell you that this rain back to the west is over the Carolinas and Florida earlier on the European model. I'm showing you the American model here, but let's look at this. This American model wants to show rain coming in on Tuesday, but it's not done. Look at this. Look what it does for Thanksgiving Day for us. Woof! This would be that Thanksgiving soaking I'm telling you about, where we go from dry weather to just it's pouring all day on this American model. Much of Thanksgiving Day for the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. Now, it's too early. We're 8-9 days away to say with any certainty, but hey, that's a possibility. I do see rain coming in some form or fashion. The European says Tuesday. The American model says Thursday. Either way, you'll be dealing with rain at some point Thanksgiving week for the Carolinas and Georgia, and we need it. We need it big time. This could last through Thursday night. Good soaking rain, 2-3 inches of rain possible out of that one. And then it clears out for the rest of Thanksgiving weekend. If you go get your Christmas tree, if you are decorating outside, spending some time with family that's in town, looking fine Friday, Saturday, Sunday across much of the East Coast and for your travel time. I read somewhere that NBC says possibly the biggest travel day this year would be Sunday. So, hey, looks to be pretty clear there. How much rain are we talking about this week? Not a lot. There's quite a bit for Florida. Destin, Panama City westbound, 2-3 inches. But this rain doesn't quite make it into the Western Carolinas. Another situation where we get some rain, but not a lot. Probably a quarter of an inch or less, and we need that rain. But there is the possibility of some tropical entities here. A 60% chance of a named tropical system. What? Yeah, still very warm in the tropics, especially down here in the Caribbean. This is going to move northeast. You can see it gathering some moisture and some organization down here toward the southwest. We'll be watching for this closely as it moves toward the northeast. And the European model says it's going to go somewhere like this. Over Cuba, Haiti, boom, over Bermuda with some rain, possibly a tropical depression or tropical storm. Should not be anything too strong. While as our American model wants to keep things interesting, it shows a secondary low spinning off right here off the Florida coast, riding up along the Carolina coast this weekend, Friday night, Saturday's time frame. It's a 993 low. It's actually stronger than this one down here toward Cuba. It's just more compact. And then it moves along the East Coast away. Could be a good rainmaker for some. But both of these will be steering away from the United States. And then I'll fast forward it here to Thanksgiving week. Look at this low cranking up here across the Gulf region. This will be quite a bit of rain moving into areas that need it in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and boom, here it comes. This could be quite the Thanksgiving soaker across the East Coast as it moves on through. So we'll look out for that. Current snowpack sits over the Rockies. And folks, I tell you, this is so important to our forecast moving forward. I like to look at it like this. As we move into December, as our air masses come in from Canada, as we get these bigger dips in the jet stream that you would be accustomed to in November, December, January, if there's snowpack on the ground, those air masses are going to arrive colder. It's the same thing as, trusting your Publix grocery store to bring your fruit in on ice, right? Those trucks are cooled. Same thing. If those trucks are not cooled, that stuff's going to arrive warmer. Same thing with our air mass. Those storm systems that come in from the north, if it's traveling over ice or snow, those systems will arrive into the United States much colder than they would be if they're traveling over regular old ground. So, hey, we'll be on the lookout for it, folks. One thing you can count on is I'm going to be on top of it for you. If you don't already, please consider subscribing to my channel for early warnings of severe weather, a reliable forecast you can count on, and a direct approach you won't find anywhere else. Folks, thank you for following me here. I appreciate it, and I'll keep you posted this week as things unfold.